Greetings and salutations, everybody. This video is going to show you how to render a blank floor plan in 4 relatively easy steps in Photoshop. Now, step 1 is going to be to have the floor plan ready. So I already have a floor plan drawn up, and here it is in PDF format. This is a little hair salon, so here's the main entrance. Here's the reception and waiting area, a little office with a storage connected to it, the main styling floor, a dressing room, a place for hair storage, like hair product storage, as well as a washer and a dryer, and a small bathroom right there. Now it's really important to create a floor plan with complete line work, including walls, windows, doors, furniture, any accessories, floor patterns, and floor transitions. Floor transitions you might not think about right away, but it is really important because Photoshop needs to have a line drawn as to where one flooring ends and the next one begins. So places like here in this dressing room might have carpet, and this area might have tile. So it's really important to draw a line in between the two. It's going to make your life so much easier in Photoshop. And as you can see, I also have floor plans drawn, so I have big plans for these areas. You might not understand that right now looking at it, but if you do end up having floor patterns like this, it is important to draw that in. Now, CAD and Revit make very clean lines. As you can see, this is AutoCAD, but you can do this also with hand-drawn and hand-drafted floor plans as well. I mean, you can stylize it however you want to, but this example does use AutoCAD. Now make this floor plan a PDF, and you can do that through CAD or Revit, but if you don't, you just simply scan it, and then you have to have PDF conversion software on your computer in order to make it a PDF. If you have Photoshop, you pretty much already have Adobe PDF Maker attached to it, so you should be good. Now it is important to make sure that all the lines are dark enough to see. The cleaner the copy, the better. Don't include any room names in this floor plan. We're going to do that using the text command in Photoshop. So basically you want something very similar to this, very blank but still with lots of information and accessories and everything I just talked about earlier. Now step 2 is going to be to go ahead and open this up in Photoshop. So I'm going to click exit here, and here I'm in Photoshop already. So I go to File, Open, find the PDF that I want to open, and click Open. And in this box, the only thing I want to make sure is where it says Crop To under the page options, that it is selected to Media Box. I think it defaults to Bounding Box. And what Bounding Box does is it crops right next to the line work. So there's no space outside of the floor plan, and we actually want to have a little bit of space out there. So we're just going to go ahead and use Media Box and hit OK. Now if your Photoshop is like my Photoshop, for whatever reason it decides to rotate the image. It's so annoying. So how do I fix this is I'm going to go up to Image, Image Rotation, and in this particular instance I just need to do a 90-degree counterclockwise rotation. And what's nice is that it will rotate the canvas as well as the image. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what the heck is going on? This is really crazy. Why is there black and white checkered happening on my screen? So that means that the background is transparent. Anytime that you bring in a PDF into Photoshop, it's pretty much going to do this. But I do want to point out that over in the Layers panel, this is the only layer here. It's actually consists of all the line work. So I'm going to go ahead and rename that Floor Plan Outline. You can name it Floor Plan Line Work, whatever works for you. That's just going to help me remember this. Now I want to get a white background so that I'm not driving myself crazy looking at all these crazy checkers. Crazy. Have I said crazy enough? Well, I said it now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new layer, which is down in the Layers panel right next to the trash can. And a new layer pops up. I'm going to double click and name that white background. Click off. And I'm going to make sure that it's highlighted over here in my Layers panel, and I'm going to come over here to the color picker and I'm going to make sure that white is selected. Now in Photoshop world, I want a perfect white, so I'm going to make sure that the RGB formula is set at 255 for R, G, and B. That's how I know it's a perfect white. I'm going to hit OK. The next thing I'm going to do is I need to actually fill this area. So right here underneath the gradient tool, it's right above the smudge and the eraser tool. If I hold my clicker down, you'll see that it brings up other tool options that I could use, and I'm going to choose the paint bucket tool. With my fill color chosen as white, I'm just going to go ahead and click on the screen, and you'll notice it turned all white. Never fear, we're going to make that white background go behind the floor plan by dragging it underneath in the layers panel, and you'll see that it actually goes back behind there. So working with layers in this particular type of project and naming layers is going to become extremely important. So please be sure every time that you work with a layer that you're naming it. Alright, so now that you've gotten to this point, you got a white background, we got the floor plan into Photoshop, it's time for step 3 already! Holy cow, we're moving right along. Step 3 is going to be where we color in walls, doors, and windows. Now in interior design floor plan presentation, we pretty much typically always color floor plan walls as black. It makes them easier to read. Now I'm going to come back over to the layers panel and I'm going to make sure that floor plan outline is highlighted. I have to do this every single time I need to make a selection within my floor plan. With that highlighted, I'm going to use the magic wand, pixie dust, that's located over in the toolbar, and I'm going to go ahead and select inside all of the walls, and you'll notice the marching ants kind of pop up, and I have to do this everywhere I see interior walls or exterior walls. And I can add selections by holding Shift while I click. You can also come up here to the very top in the options bar and select the little button that says add to selection, but I'm a Shift clicker, so that's the way I'm going to do it. So hold Shift, click inside. Now for some reason I accidentally click on a line. Let's see if I can get it to do it. It's going to kind of think and then all of a sudden it hits everything. I don't want that, so just hit Control Z if that happens and you're still right back to where you were. Just make sure that you hit every single interior wall, and I know that I got a little guy right here that I gotta get, and these are walls right here. Here's a wall, and that's a wall. Just double checking, making sure I got all the walls selected. Oh, there's a little guy right there. I think we're looking good. Now once all the inside of the walls are highlighted with marching ants, I'm going to come down to this little button over in the layers panel. To me it looks like a chocolate dipped cookie, Oreo cookie or something like that. I usually call it the Oreo. But this is the new adjustment layer, and what I want to do is I want to click on that and I want to go to where it says solid color. It's going to bring the color picker up, and I want black. And I know it's going to be fully black if the RGB formula is all zeros. Click OK, and you'll notice it previewed it for me while I was in there, but now you can see that it has actually filled all the walls with black. Now you can do that with AutoCAD automatically, but in case you forget to do that, you can still do it in Photoshop. Now notice that over in your layers panel, it gave me a new layer and it says Color Fill 1. There's two icons. The first one is the color thumbnail, and so that, if I double click inside of it, will allow me to go back and change the color of my walls if I want to, like blue. But really I do want them to be black, but so this was just demonstration. So again, 000 for the RGB formula. Click OK. The other one is actually the layer mask, so it's showing you how the adjustment layer is hiding parts of things and filling the other parts. So we'll come back to this area here in just a little bit. I do want to rename this adjustment layer. I'm going to call it the wall fill. Again, if you aren't labeling your layers, you're going to be in a world of hurt here in a little bit when you've got like 1,500 layers going on. So make sure you're labeling all your layers, please. Thank you. So now I need to do the exact same thing for all of the doors because I actually have a thickness to my doors. So in order to do this, I have to go back to the floor plan outline in the layer panel and make sure that it's highlighted. Again, this is where all the lines are located, and in order to select correctly, I need to have that layer highlighted so Photoshop knows which layer to work with. So I'm going to take my Ooh Ah Pixie Dust Magic Wand. I'm going to Control plus to zoom in a little bit. Wow, we're in. And I'm going to make sure I get the inside of the doors. Currently I have my tolerance for my magic wand set at 32. I think that's plenty. If you need it to be a little bit tighter, you can do 10. I'm going to hit shift to add doors. Come down here to the entrance doors. Now you could choose brown, you could choose black, you could do different colors for doors. You just have to do different layer adjustments for them. And then I think I just have these two doors left. There we go. I'm going to zoom out just to double check and make sure that I got all of the door thicknesses. It looks like I did. I'm going to hit the adjustment layer, solid color. I'm going to make sure black is chosen and that we've got 3 zeros. Hit OK. And all of my doors are now black. I have to repeat this one more time for the frames, and well, actually 2 more times. I have the frames and then I also have windows. Now when you do windows, you don't want to do those black because you need to be able to see that there's windows. I suggest doing it whatever color that the sill of those windows are going to be. So sometimes they're cream, sometimes they're silver for metal. Sometimes I like to pick like a light blue just because psychologically we consider blue like glass. So I usually do like a bluish gray. So again, floor plan outline needs to be highlighted in layers. Magic wand, Ooh Ah Pixie Dust. Let's do the windows first. I'm holding shift while I'm selecting both sides of the window. And I don't have many windows in this particular one. Then it's time for the adjustment layer, solid color. And this time I'm going to pick kind of a dusty blue kind of color. Whoa. There we go, something like that. And now I have my windows, slightly blue. Oh, I haven't been naming my layers. Shame upon me. Shame, shame. So I'm going to name this window fill. And this one above was the door fill. There we go. And then the last one but not least, I want to make sure that I get the frames done, and I'm going to do those a darker gray. So again, floor plan outline highlighted. Take the magic wand, and then I have to go through all of these with my Ooh Ah Pixie Dust Magic Wand and highlight all of these. It is my philosophy that there should never be an empty, blank, white anything on your floor plans. The reason why is because it makes it look unfinished, and clients don't like to see anything unfinished because then they're going to think that you aren't going to finish things. So everything you draw and everything you touch reflects back on you. So as a designer, you want to make sure that things look finished and polished at all times, and never leave anything white or blank. Even toilets get color. Even if they're white, they still get color. So up here in the frame, la la la. Okay, I'm pretty sure I got all of the frames. I hit the Oreo cookie, go up to solid color. I'm going to do a darker gray, so something kind of a little bit more like this. I still want to be able to see it in my floor plan, and I just kind of have to play around. Well, that looks pretty good. I can still kind of differentiate between the frame, the wall, and the window. Click OK. Come down here to my layer. I'm not going to forget this time. And type in frame fill. Hit enter, and we're looking good. So believe it or not, we are already at step 4, and this is where we're going to make finish and material patterns for flooring, furniture, and all the accessories. So the first thing that I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to find some materials that I can turn into a pattern. So I'm going to go to Google. Come on Google, let's go, la la, come on, there we go. And I'm going to type tileable white marble. Let's go with that first. Tileable, what does that mean? Well, I think with marble I'm probably not going to find a tileable image. I'm going to go here to the images and let me explain tileable. So Photoshop is going to take a picture and it's going to multiply it. It's going to repeat it several times in order to fill in like we just did with the color. It's just going to do it with a pattern. So if I can find a tileable image, that's going to repeat over and over again, but it's going to transition smoothly between the repeated patterns. If I don't have a tileable image, that's when you start getting things that look staggered or squared and a little awkward. It doesn't look as realistic. And my other philosophy is we want this to look as realistic as possible. So here you can see lots of images of white marble. And I'm going to click on one. Let's see, let's try this one. I just want to show you. So here's a watermark. That means that this image is owned by this company and the watermark is permanently on there. Now could we take a clone tool and actually manipulate the picture so that we can get rid of it? Yes, I suppose we could, but that's kind of a jerk move, and actually it's kind of illegal. It's called plagiarism, and we don't go for plagiarism around here. So you can never choose an image that has a watermark on it. You have to find images that don't have those. So let me see here if there's a pattern that I really like. I like shopping. This is totally like shopping. Well, I'll just pick this one right here. Now that one's a little small. I do kind of want to find a bigger one. The more that you can get them rectangular and large images, the better the pattern's going to be. Honestly, I already have an image selected, but I just want to show you how to download an image from Google. I clicked on the image, I right click here on Save Image As, and here I have a folder already done for this example, and I also have a finishes folder made. So I'm gonna double click in the folder and you're gonna see where I already have a white marble selected, and you can see all the other patterns that I've selected for this particular example and demonstration, but for right now I just went ahead and did the white marble. And you save it as a JPEG image, and I usually rename them because they have these really long names on some of these JPEGs you find online. So I'm gonna hit cancel. You don't hit cancel, you should hit save if you find a white marble that you like. And I'm gonna minimize Google here for a second. And basically what we have to do is open up that image in Photoshop. So I'm going to go to the finishes, I'm going to open up the white marble, I'm going to click open, and here's the image. I need to make this a pattern. So I'm going to go up to edit, define pattern. Photoshop's going to be, hey, what do you want to name this? I usually keep it the same name that I named it in the File Explorer. Click OK. And it looks like nothing happened, but actually Photoshop has now saved that as a pattern in its own memory. And once you click OK, you can know that the job was done. We no longer need this image, so I'm actually going to exit out up here and go back to the floor plan. And I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did before with the walls, windows, doors. I'm going to make sure that floor plan outline is highlighted. I'm going to use my magic wand, and all the areas that I want that white marble to show up on. I'm using Shift to select multiple areas. There we go, and I'm just double checking, making sure that I got everything that I wanted to. And once I do, I go to the Oreo cookie. This time, instead of doing solid color, I'm going to do pattern. And what's kind of cool is Photoshop automatically opens this little window with the very last pattern that you created. Now, as you can see in this picture, it went ahead and inserted the marble, and it looks beautiful at 100% scale. Notice that I can change the scale, so if I want it to be more like 50%, I could. I could even go up to like 500% or 50,500 apparently. But you can kind of see how you can play with the scale of the pattern that you're playing with. I'm going to put it back to 100 because I think that looks marvelous. And I noticed that I actually missed something, so I'm going to hit cancel real quick. And I'm going to hit shift and add it to. It's really important to make sure that you get everything that you wanted the first time. Otherwise you have to delete the layer and then come back and highlight everything with the magic wand again. So again, Oreo cookie pattern scaled to 100%. That looks beautiful. I'm going to click OK. So now I have added marble tile to my floor. Pretty groovy, right? Now, just like the solid color, I can come back and double click on this little color icon right here, and I can choose any pattern that I've already made. Now, Photoshop does come with some pre-chosen, but as I start making patterns, you can see that it starts loading into this library. So in fact, if I wanted it to be a different pattern, I could click here, and this might be a really good opportunity to see. This is a scalable tile pattern that I picked. However, you can see that the area that highlights does not match the area with lowlights, and so I get this weird gridded pattern. And I'm gonna make this go down 50%, and here you can see where we're getting like a very definite understanding of what's going on here. The checkered pattern look does not look so realistic. And so I try to avoid images that might have highlights or lowlights in them, or patterns that don't match up to each other, because it does this very same thing that we're looking at right here. So I'm going to go back to my white marble pattern. Actually, it was this one at 100% because I like that one. And I'm going to click OK. So again, just to demonstrate that one more time, let's put some tile here and here. I've already got the tile uploaded, saved as a pattern, so I'm going to make sure that floor plan outline is highlighted, grab that magic wand tool, and making sure that my marching ants go around everything that I want to. Notice how it's not including the plant or the chair or anything else. Hit shift because I want the same floor material over here. Oreo cookie that stuff, pattern it, and I could do that, but I'm actually going to go and change it to this one right here. I kind of like that look of this very modern, sleek looking thing next to some blue tiles that I found. And maybe I just want to shrink that just a little bit and hit OK. So continue doing this for the entire floor plan. Again, make sure that everything has color. Even the toilet needs to have some kind of color. Just make it an off-white. Trust me, it's going to look much better if you add something like that to it. Everything gets color or pattern. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a finalized floor plan that I did for this particular one. So hang on just a second and it's going to magically pop up. Thanks to the magic of video editing. Voila! So here you can see I've added the tile, I've kind of updated the scale a little bit. I even got a little tiled mosaic going here in this little circle area. I've got carpet placed, I've got patterns on furniture. Even the casework and countertops have some kind of a pattern to it. There's like utility tile, so it's not as fancy and as expensive as this one. That's very typical in commercial spaces where you've got the fancy showcase stuff and then the not so showcase stuff. Carpet here in the dressing room. I even got the plants colored, and notice that I've used solid color in 2 different shades of green just to give it a little bit more reality. My toilet has color, the sink has colors in it. Everything, even the paper and the keyboard and the coffee cup, have some kind of solid color to it. So once you finally get to this point, it'll be time to start adding shadows and light to actually render the space. Right now it's just coloring and placing materials, but the true rendering comes when you add light and shadow to things. So in this video you learned how to open a PDF in Photoshop, how to use adjustment layers to add color to things, how to scale materials, how to even download stuff from Google so that you have all kinds of patterns and textiles to work with.